Welcome to Learn Tech Today English. Learn today, understand better, and succeed tomorrow.
Imagine your computer keeps crashing over and over again, but the only error message you get on the screen is a vague system error. You'd have absolutely no idea how to fix it, right? Well, that is exactly what happens in our brains when we only use basic words like sad or angry to describe our feelings. We completely lack the precise data to fix the bug. Welcome to Learn Tech Today English. Today we're breaking down a really powerful mental software update called Emotional Agility in the simplest possible way. If dealing with confusing emotions sounds complicated right now, stick with me because it is going to become crystal clear by the end of this explainer. So, what if your brain only gave you a generic system error? Honestly, this is exactly what's happening when we don't have precise diagnostic data for our own feelings. When we default to low-resolution words like sad or angry to describe super complex emotions, we're basically throwing a generic system error code. We just don't have the data to fix the actual issue. To stop these mental crashes, we absolutely need a massive vocabulary patch. All right, initiating step 1, upgrading to real intelligence. Now, I know the tech world is completely obsessing over artificial intelligence right now, but we've got to remember that human beings run on highly complex emotional software. We run on real intelligence, and a huge part of that is how we process our feelings. Let's look at a story from monk and author Gaur Kapil Das. In his book, he talks about speaking at a conference right alongside Sophia, the famous humanoid robot. Sophia is an absolute marvel. She simulates human responses perfectly. But that's the key word, simulates. She's static. She doesn't actually feel pleasure or pain. Us, we are sentient. We're dynamic. We take in billions of sensory inputs and convert them into real, complex emotions that require active processing, not just pre-programmed outputs. And that brings us to the core concept here. Psychologists define emotional agility as the ability to correctly label and decipher our own emotions, as well as the emotions of the people around us. Why does this update actually matter? Well, studies show that if you fail to express your emotions correctly, you are highly likely to experience lower levels of mental well-being. But if you can clearly vocalize exactly how you feel, you bring crystal clarity to your problems. And you kind of need that clarity to implement the correct solutions, right? Let's look at a real-world diagnostic case study. We'll call it Rishi's system scam. Imagine a guy named Rishi. He comes home from work feeling deeply irritated and frustrated with his wife because she's complaining about little things. If Rishi just stops at that surface UI level and labels the feeling as angry, he's probably just going to argue with her. But what if he runs a back-end scan? If he looks a little closer, he might realize his anger is actually a mix of being incredibly stressed from work and feeling vulnerable to criticism when he gets home. When we don't dig deeper, we are left dealing with the cluttered back end of a restless mind. Just tons of pressure, distraction, and noise. But by identifying the exact root emotion in all of that mess, Rishi can actually communicate his real problem. He can say, hey, I'm feeling really stressed and vulnerable right now, instead of just getting angry and fighting over a symptom. That is emotional agility in action. So, how do we actually install this? Let's get into the 3-step installation patch. To upgrade our operating system, we're going to use Gaur Kapil Das's framework. Feel, deal, heal. It's an amazingly effective foundation for this mental patch. First, you have to truly feel and identify the emotion. Then you figure out how to deal with it. And finally, you take steps to heal the underlying scars. Let's break down exactly how to execute this. Step 1 is expanding your data labels. Look, you can't fix an emotional bug without the right diagnostic label. Dr. Susan David encourages us to go way beyond the obvious words. Instead of just saying you're sad, ask yourself, are you mournful, regretful, disillusioned? Instead of saying you're anxious, figure out if you're actually stressed, vulnerable, or bewildered. Upgrading your emotional vocabulary is step 1. To do this easily, you can literally use Harvard psychologist Dr. Susan David's emotional data labels. It works like a diagnostic dictionary. Just look at the word angry here. It breaks down into grumpy, frustrated, annoyed, defensive, spiteful. Getting highly specific like this helps you pinpoint the exact bug in your system. Okay, moving to step 2 of our patch, running a diagnostic intensity check. Once you've got the correct label for the emotion, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Gauging the intensity is super important because it tells you exactly how deeply you're feeling it. If your feeling of being vulnerable is sitting at a 9, well, that indicates you probably need to take immediate actionable steps, like talking to a professional or having a serious conversation. But if it's only a 3, Patient observation might be totally fine. Just noticing it might be enough to let it pass. This is how you effectively deal with the emotion safely. Step 3 is logging your system data. To really build emotional agility over time, to actually heal, you have to write your feelings down. Social psychologist James Pennebaker discovered that people who physically write about their emotions experience a true increase in both mental and physical well-being. So keep a log. Write down the specific emotion, why you think you're feeling it, and potential ways to heal, like walking in nature or calling a friend. Over a month or so, this log is going to reveal patterns and show you exactly what solutions work best for your unique mind. Which brings us to system optimization and your unique mental metabolism. When you run this update, you absolutely have to account for your own unique system specs. Just like we all have a different physical metabolism, we all have a different mental metabolism. It is our varying capacity to handle emotional problems and build psychological resilience. Practicing this is literally like resistance training for the brain, and we're all starting with a completely different capacity to lift those mental weights. There's a quote that hits the nail on the head here. Life is a difficult exam. Many people fail because they try to copy others, not realizing that everyone has a different question paper. Because everyone's genetic history and mental capacity are completely different, what takes one person a single day to process might take someone else an entire month. You cannot rush the process. Never compare your emotional timeline to someone else's. All right, time for a system reboot, future-proofing your mind. Let's do a quick recap of today's massive data patch. Your upgrade is complete if you consistently apply this framework. First, stop using basic labels. Find the exact word for your emotion. Second, rate the intensity of that feeling from 1 to 10. And third, physically write down your feelings, their causes, and your solutions. Doing this consistently builds serious long-term resilience. Always remember, you are a highly advanced human, not a robot. By intentionally practicing emotional agility today, you are future-proofing your mental health. You unlock the ability to truly understand your inner workings, process your pain, and thrive in literally any environment you're placed in. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought today. Will you continue to let vague system errors control your reactions, or will you step up and intentionally master your own internal data? The choice is entirely yours. If you found this explainer helpful and you're ready to master your mental software, please like, share, and subscribe to Learn Tech Today English. Make sure to turn on that bell icon so you never miss our latest AI and tech updates. Catch you in the next explainer.